excited to have our respected CEO, Mr. Punit MK Vasu, for the exclusive Teachers Day podcast. Sir, we request you to join us on the stage.
Incredibly fortunate to be speaking to our respected CEO, Sir Punit MK Vasu, someone who truly believes in our potential and works tirelessly to create opportunities for us. It's a pleasure and honor to welcome you to the IIS podcast, sir. We're thrilled to have you with us today in a conversation which is surely going to be engaging and insightful.
Let's dive right into the questions. Sir, may I? So, our listeners are very curious today. What does Teachers Day mean to you? And how do you honor the educators who have shaped your journey?
So again, thank you so much for giving me the opportunity to interact with all of you. You both are, Fatma and Arjun, wonderful hosts. So nice to see you all speak so eloquently. And I wasn't half as confident when I was in grade 8, so full credit to you. But again, that's where I will hit the nail on the head. Full credit to your teachers, full credit to your parents, right, for the way they are shaping you in this journey. So the fact that you are sitting here in this wonderful auditorium set up by the founders and the trustees of the Indian High Group of Schools clearly shows that they have given you a platform, right? And I always say this, and I want to officially put it on record. What you see in terms of the infrastructure, what you see in terms of the physical presence, the auditorium, the room, the grandeur, the seats, the buses, the infrastructure, that's the hardware of the school. Right? That's the tangible hardware of the school. But what is most important for each and every one of us to realize, including me, is that it's not the hardware. That's the most important factor. Yes, it has its own level of importance, but it's the software that drives the school. So all you students and all you young learners, can you all tell me what is the software of the school? Thank you so much, right? It's the teachers, okay? And it's you all. So it's the teachers, it's the students, the learners, and it's the ancillary support staff. So everybody, right? Whether it's the bus captains, whether it's the nannies, whether it's the support staff, and what have you. All of them together. So we put them as teachers, right? Because you also learn from your bus captain, you also learn from your bus nanny, you learn from your teachers, you learn from your leaders, you learn from your HODs. Every single human being in this ecosystem is a teacher, right? And I think that's where it's extremely important for us to appreciate the role that a teacher plays, right? So as far as I am concerned, the teachers, the ancillary staff, and you all, you are the software. Now, with any software, you need somebody to program it. You need somebody to code it. You need somebody to debug it. You need somebody to update it. You need somebody to refresh it. Right? You all have phones. We all have access to mobile devices. We all have access to many tools and technological devices. And that's where your teachers are the key enablers. So they are the coders, they are the decoders, they are the debuggers. Right? They are the ones who will actually fit what needs to be calibrated and executed. So I think an educational institution, or for that matter, the world, right? If you don't have teachers, if you don't have educators, if you don't have your gurus, and your parents are your gurus, your teachers are your gurus, your friends are also your gurus, right? And they can give you some pretty good advice and some pretty good counsel. But the teacher at the heart of this institution is everything that defines the Indian High Group of Schools.
That was genuinely mind stirring. If you had the opportunity to shadow a teacher on Teachers' Day, who would you choose and why? What would you hope to learn from that experience?
Arjun, education, being in the field of education or being an educator or being an administrator, you're constantly learning. So in whichever profession each and every one of you choose, right, always remember that you're constantly learning. Right, irrespective of which team you're a part of, whether you're an entrepreneur, whether you choose to, work for a startup, whether you choose to be in a school, in any shape or sphere of life, you're constantly learning. A very interesting question, right? Because you said that which teacher would I like to shadow? So for me, my life is split in different phases like it is, right? So like you, I have the privilege and the honor of studying at the Indian high school. So I'm a student and a product of the Indian high school. So often people tell me what shaped you and what shaped your journey, and I would say it's my experience at the Indian high school, because those are the fundamental formative years, right? You spend the maximum amount of time in a school, not in university, undergraduate, not in postgraduate, right? These are your formative years. There's enough international research out there which says that everything that you learn during the ages of 0 to 5, 0 to 6, which is early learning, has a deep impact on you as you go forward, right? So I had, like I said, in phases, there was a teacher I had in grade 1, right? And she had a lot of faith in me. She really encouraged me in grade 1, right? And prior to that, I wasn't a great student, right? I frankly used to fall asleep in class, right, when I was in KG1 and KG2. So my mother would always get a call from the pre-KG, KG1 and KG2 teachers and say that, look, your son has a blank book and he's pretty daft. You need to do something. Start investing in a savings plan. Ask your husband, my father was a banker, and ask your husband to make a nice savings plan, because your son ain't making the cut and doing anything anywhere in the world, right? So my mother, a typical Indian housewife, with 2 sisters of mine, and she said, what's happened, right? So we better start doing something. So she rocked up to my father and said, look, our son is a dud. He really doesn't know anything and he's not going to make it in life. So we better start saving. So my father, being a dutiful, nice father, nice husband, nodded and he said, yeah, don't worry, we'll start saving for the dud and we'll try and see what eventually we can do. So pre-KG, KG1, KG2, it's a blur. But this teacher in grade 1, her name was Mrs. Prema. I'm still in touch with her, and I had the privilege of calling her to the school and visiting her. And she had faith in me. She saw a spark in me. And she said, there is potential in this child, like there's potential in all of us, in you, in Fatma and Arjun, and so many Fatmas and Arjuns and Rebecca's and Manjus, and everybody sitting in the audience, right? Your principal ma'am, your activities lead, and every single teacher and every single leader that is present over here. So she saw potential, all right? And I'll never forget the way she egged me on, where she had more faith in me than I had faith in myself. I mean, I'm grade 1. I'm still a young, impressionable child. And that's what set my journey on. So that was one teacher that I would probably want to shadow. And then since I like rambling on, and you asked me a very nice, broad, open-ended question, then the other teacher that had a deep impact on me was in grade 10. I had a fantastic educator by the name of Mr. Alexander Philip. Right? So he was in grade 9, my biology teacher. Again, an awesome educator. I think his wife was the teacher as well, Mrs. Alexander. And great. So at that time, and I'm not telling you all should do that, all the naughty ones, but I was naughty enough to sign a petition. And I wrote a petition to my supervisor that I want that for my class, I would like to request Mr. Alexander Philip to be the class teacher. And my class was notorious. I was in grade 9H and then became grade 10H. So we were notorious, very naughty, full of fun, full of life, right? Just like you all, very naughty. And, always having a smile, always wanting to do something and having a trick up our sleeve. But I said, you know what, we need this man to change us. And he was really strict, fantastic educator, fantastic teacher, but strict disciplinarian. Okay, sometimes that's what we do as parents. Tough, but we love you. We love you, we respect you. Right? So I saw that element in him. So we requested, and I got the whole class. We had 36 kids in the class, 36 boys, Indian High School, Ud Mehta. And he got this petition, and we made sure it reached Mr. Joseph, it reached Dr. Moti Prakash, it reached the supervisor. And poor Mr. Alexander Philip was appointed as the class teacher for grade 10. And he said, why did you guys have to request? Never in the history of the school has anybody done that. So I was always a troublemaker. Even from a very young age, I'm still always causing trouble. So that's why I think the Lord wanted me to come back to the school for all the things that I've done. And we said, no, we really love and respect you. And we feel you're the kind of person who can discipline us, who can change us, who can shape us to be a good, ethical human being with good values. Right, so again, I would point out Mr. Alexander Philip, and one other incident I want to say openly, right, is there was a particular time where I think I wasn't honest in answering a particular question. and I wanted to score. And I rocked up to him and I told him, look, I don't think I've been honest in answering this question the way I should have, and I don't think I deserve these marks. He looked at me and said, well, that's the start of your journey. If you have it in you to willingly say that you haven't been honest in answering this particular question and you should have not done what you did, then I appreciate that. And two, this is what I expect you to do. So instead of chastising me, instead of reprimanding me, what he did was actually accepted that here's a child who has come and confessed. And again, a brilliant educator, right? Received me with open arms, not physically, but emotionally. And his words that had a deep impact. And then you go to grade 11 and grade 12, I made a decision to go to commerce. And again, very naughty group of friends that I'm still close to. And I took commerce without math. It's like, consider again for the naughty guys, I wasn't intelligent to get into science. So I took commerce with accounting, without math, etc. Some of my best friendships. And I have a lot of good teachers. Mr. Manor was my teacher, who's currently the principal of administration, a wonderful human being in Ud Mehta. But again, the other names that I want to highlight is obviously going to be Mrs. Lata Kuruvilla, my economics teacher, who was a legend, who is a legend. I just spoke to her yesterday. It was her anniversary, and I said, ma'am, on Labor Day, here it is. I'm going to make sure I call you. And the other was Mr. Paulson Thomas, my accounting teacher. So I would probably want to shadow them because I think what they brought is a maternal and paternal instinct. They brought the maternal side and the paternal side to the school. It wasn't about teaching accountancy. I mean, they are fantastic accounting economics teachers, which is why I love the subject and I'm probably very good at it. But what they did is, not only did they develop a love of subject for everyone, so they were fair to everybody. It doesn't matter if you're a good student or not, they loved and treated everybody fairly and equally. And that's what a good educator and teacher does. The second bit is they had got fantastic content knowledge, right? So they're fantastic teachers, always wanting to push themselves, always wanting to learn. Not say I'm a great teacher and I don't need to do that. Thirdly, they went beyond the classroom. So if you had a problem in the class that couldn't be solved, you would go beyond the classroom. You're having an off day. I received a call from Mrs. Kuruvilla speaking to my mother saying, what's wrong with him? Like, what has happened? So that's what a good educator does. So if I had to pick, I'm not picking one, but I'll probably shadow Mrs. Prema from grade 1. I would probably shadow, definitely shadow Mrs. Prema, definitely shadow Mr. Alexander Philip, right? And definitely shadow Mrs. Lata Kuruvilla and Mr. Paulson. And again, if given the opportunity, then I want to bring back Dr. Moti Prakash, our rector, who was my principal, Mr. Desi Shah, who was my headmaster. Again, all legends. And I'm still in touch and I'm extremely fond of Mr. Joseph. So all these individuals are people I would want to learn from and take their wisdom and use their knowledge. Sorry for the long answer.
That's actually interesting indeed, sir. As an alumnus and now CEO of the Indian High School, how has your educational background influenced your leadership style?
So again, I don't consider myself to be a CEO. I think my role is to serve the school. Right? The title of CEO, I think, is extremely misleading and a misnomer. It shouldn't be, right? If you're in the field of education, especially a non-for-profit altruistic group of schools like the Indian High School set up by our founding trustees to serve the Indian diaspora, the Indian community in providing high-quality, affordable education, then you got to serve. CEO is more of a corporate term, but again, titles are titles. The way I see it is my role is to serve the school, serve you all. Right. Serve the students, serve the parents, and serve the educators. And that attitude of service is something that I've definitely learned from seeing the leaders whom I saw in this school. And I mentioned their names earlier, I'll mention again, Dr. Moti Prakash, an outstanding educator, right? And always put the school first. Mr. Desi Shah, Mr. Joseph, Mr. GM Sheikh, Mr. D'Souza. I can rattle off names. Maybe I'm forgetting some names, but all of them outstanding educators outstanding leaders who put themselves last, who put the school first, who put the teachers first, to put others first, to put the parents first. And they took decisions with a heart. You got to have a heart. You got to be kind. You got to have empathy. Okay? So I think that to me is critical. And when I was in my formative years and my high years, that's what I got to see. Like when I said I was in commerce and I had naughty children naughty friends, I would still see the teachers deal with them with love, TLC, tender love and care. So again, I think that had a deep impact. So now when I take the decisions on behalf of the school and so not to increase the fees, what infrastructure, I work closely with the team, but I also make sure that these values of empathy, tolerance, love, care, understanding are something that are at the very heart of what decisions we take for our group of schools.
Sir, you are truly an inspiration for all our listeners. So, sir, as a CEO of the Indian High Group of Schools, how do you feel when you meet teachers who once guided you?
Oh, absolutely, right? I mean, it's such a privilege and such an honor, right? I mean, you get very emotional. Like I said, I spoke to my economics teacher, Ms. Lata Kuruvela, yesterday, and we were talking about a whole bunch of things, and I patched on my wife to the call. So I, involved my family, and I said, it's Mrs. Kuruvela's anniversary. And unfortunately, I don't get as much time as I would like to be in touch with all the teachers. But Arjun, you got to understand one thing, right? Your teachers, my teachers, have sacrificed their time, their life. Being a teacher is a very unforgiving, relentless profession, right? Can you imagine this? Like you have parents who work in different fields, but technically your father or mother can take a day off if they want to attend a function, right? But if you have a teacher who's responsible for teaching 30 odd children, technically she can't take a day off to even be attending her child's annual day. I mean, or his or her child's annual day, because that teacher has a responsibility towards you. So if your teacher started taking days off for her family, then she couldn't really end up being a teacher, right? Because she wouldn't be in class. My child is sick, I can't come to school today. My child has an annual day, I can't come to school today. And what are you going to do? You as a child or a student are going to be like, well, where's my teacher? So what you got to understand is every single teacher who has taught you, irrespective of whether you like them or not, right? And it's going to be a mixed bag. There are some teachers you love and some teachers you don't. There are some teachers you admire and some teachers you don't. And that's how life is. It's a mixed bag. Right? It's not necessarily the teacher that I like and respect. We respect all our teachers. It's not necessarily the teacher that I like is the one that you would like. Right? But every teacher across the board has made a sacrifice, and that sacrifice is at the very core of what they do. Your leaders, your teachers, your support staff, your nannies, and imagine if your bus driver, your bus pilot doesn't come to work one day. What are you going to do? How are you going to get to school? Right? So they all are teachers, they all are educators, they all are playing a role. Right? So I want to make sure that each and every one of you appreciate this quality of sacrifice where they are sacrificing their own personal family time and making sure that they are giving more than they are receiving. I think that's only in the field of education, only in the field of teaching. Perhaps nursing is one of the professions that comes really close, but education and teaching, by and large, are at the forefront of this sacrifice.
Thank you, sir, for sharing that. As a leader, how do you ensure that the values you learned at school are reflected in the culture and practices of the Indian High Group of Schools?
So, Fatima, as I said earlier, I don't lead, I serve. And I got a fantastic team that I serve with. So, your leaders, your principal, and I work very, very closely. Your supervisors and I work very, very closely. So, in fact, I have the easiest job in the world and easiest role in the world. So, one, I serve. And secondly, they have fantastic values and ideas that I learn from every day. So I learned a lot from all the leaders, all the teachers that are part of my team. And it's because they have such a strong work ethic, they have such a strong value system. And again, they pick that up from parents, they pick that up from you. So it's almost like a circle, a virtuous circle of good, right? Because we all feed good of each other. It's like a virtual virtual circle of kindness, virtual circle of gratitude, virtual circle of happiness, a virtuous circle of happiness, gratitude, and what have you. So I don't need to embody that because nowadays children like you are very much empowered and you all know what is right from wrong. Right? You all have very, very strong ethics and values. You've got a fantastic set of parents, right? There's a lot of information out there in the public domain, also on the internet and various social media and public media as to what is expected of you as children and as young learners. And that said, your teachers, your leaders, your parents, they are the ones who guide me. So I don't think I lead them, they guide me, and we work together as a team to ensure that the right value systems are embedded into the bedrock of this institution.
Your insights are truly remarkable, sir. Although there is something we surely need your opinion on. So, with fewer people opting teaching as a profession, how would you encourage them to consider this noble profession?
So I think that's a massive challenge that we all are facing, right, in terms of a shortage of teachers. And I think this might be a disruptive answer, but the sector needs to be looked at differently, and you cannot just have people wanting to teach if they have a formal qualification. So you've got professionals from the industry, you've got people who are retiring, you've got industry experts, you've got people who don't have a formal qualification. I think at some point the world is going to come to having to look at the ability to open up access to people wanting to teach. That's the only way that you're going to get quality people, because I think society has a lot of people who want to teach and give back to young learners. I mean, yesterday I went for an economics eco-fest at Ud Mehta, right, where you got these awesome economic related activities, and I was talking to the children, grade 11 and grade 12. It took me to my school days, right? And it's those kind of learning opportunities that you need to create. Where I was able to talk to the children, but you've got to create those learning opportunities and those learning platforms. You need to create those exciting opportunities, and you need to let people. So I was giving them very practical examples because I'm not a teacher. And some of the things that I said to them, I think they heard for the first time, and some of them they knew. But unless you get somebody who's got practical experience on the ground to come in as a teacher, so you got to review that. And this is disruptive, and this might be controversial, and I know my remarks might go in the public domain, but why is it that you only have to have a teacher who has a B.Ed? Why can't somebody who has gone to an IIT or an IIM, out of some of the best universities in the world, be a teacher if they want to teach and they have the time to teach? And they may not have a formal B.Ed. Right? Why can't an entrepreneur who's been successful, why can't a mother teach? Right? So we got to, because mothers have so much of learning, right? Your mothers have so much of learning. Again, this is not to belittle the profession. I think we need to take a very broader look at just saying, well, teaching is a role, and this is what classifies a person to be a teacher. So I think that, Arjun, is the next way forward. And if you can look at a more broad-minded, more of a macro approach, rather than a very myopic approach to who qualifies to be a teacher. And I hope I don't get any trouble with the regulatory authorities for making these comments. Yeah.
That's definitely noteworthy for all our listeners. Disruption is becoming the norm across various fields. Education too is experiencing disruptions with the advent of technology, such as homeschooling, distance learning, etc. How do you envision traditional schooling evolving over the next 5 years?
There's a lot of chatter of AI replacing a teacher. Right? And AI is the next big thing. Right? We all need the human touch. We all need a human interacting. I can have a bot that is asking me the exact same question. It'll be a monologue, it'll be very monotonous. I'll probably bore to that. But the fact that I can maintain eye contact with Fatma, I can maintain eye contact with Arjun, I can look at Rebecca ma'am, I can look at Mujib doing the camera over here, I can look on the right, I can look on the left, get some visual cues, get some body language cues. So if you were giving me a negative body language or you were not helping me, I would go flatter and flatter in my talk, right? But some of the cues, if Manju's giving me eye contact and nodding away, supervisor is saying something, if, somebody's applauding, then it gives me that. So, it's the human touch, it's the human emotion, it's the human feeling that's important, right? So there's a lot of talk about AI, bots, and they're going to play a role. But I don't think you can take the teacher, the human teacher, out of the equation. So I think there's going to be a lot of collaboration with technology. You can't avoid technology. I mean, every teacher, every educator, every administrator has to embrace technology. It's not about PowerPoint and having AI make your slides and making content. That's the easiest thing on earth. It's actually about working in parallel with technology, because technology makes life easier. right? So it's what can be delivered through technology, right? And what needs the human interface, and how they both can have a symbiotic, constructive relationship in a disruptive way. I think that's the key.
We appreciate your perspective, sir. Your vision for the future of education is truly inspiring. Also, if you had to create a CEO's survival kit for a day in the classroom, what's that one funny piece of advice you would give teachers to stay calm under pressure?
Look, I think I need advice from them how to keep calm, right? It's the other way around. But look, focus on breathing, right? Breathe in and breathe out. I don't think our teachers need any survival kit. They're well versed in handling high pressure, cauldron-like situations. Because some of you are very active, and some of you have got very active parents as well. Right? I see some of the emails that parents and students write, so it's very interesting. But the teachers look, it's a question of not being reactive. It's always a question of being proactive, and it's a question of having a calm, cool mind, which I think teachers have. So my answers may not be funny, but I think our teachers have it all.
That's a great advice, sir. I'm sure all our teachers would be glad to implement it in their classrooms.
So, good afternoon, sir. I am Zevin Dias, and I am from 9E. So I would like to ask you that I was recently reading a news about you. So it said that you don't use social media much. Why is that, sir?
So I don't use social media. I'm not on any social media forum, and I don't use WhatsApp. Right? It's because I want to stay focused. Right? And I think there are different. Look, social media is just a tool. There are many tools to be connected with people. So while I'm talking to you right now, there are like 4 missed calls that are coming up. And pretty important missed calls. I just saw where they're from. I'm not answering those calls, but I just glanced and put it on silent. Now, who's more important to me? The call or you? It's definitely you. Right? Because A, I haven't taken that call. B, the person who's calling was extremely important, probably a family member as well, has the convenience just picking up the phone and calling. Similarly with social media, wherever you're sitting, just ping. Send a message, send a WhatsApp, send your telegram, I don't know, there's different. These are all tools. But if I need to focus on you for the time that you have taken to sit over here, right, and have the courage to ask me a question, then I shouldn't have to worry about, Jesus Christ, I have like 100 WhatsApp messages after this. And what am I going to do? I mean, I want to get out from this room as early as possible, right? Because I need to answer my emails and my text messages and the social media messages and what have you. So if I need to focus in this role in serving you all, then I can't be distracted with all the noise. To me, social media is noise and distraction. And it's something you all got to consider. There's enough videos out there, where Steve Jobs apparently didn't give an iPad to his children, right? Because he felt it was highly disruptive and destructive. There's enough videos out there that say that children should not be on social media. I know there will be groans and moans, and they're going to be like, why should we be on social media? But up to a certain age, and you will realize that later, because technology takes over your life, right? Social media is something which really takes it over. Anyways, you have phones buzzing away, right? So there's no cord. In your grandparents' time, your grandfather didn't have to worry about getting a call at home and email at home. And now we have all those distractions. So my personal view, I'm not saying social media is bad. My personal view, if I want to focus on serving you and serving the school and understand my role and making sure that I am not distracted, right? And whatever news has to come to me, it'll come to me no matter what, right? People will find a way to reach me by hook or by crook. Somebody says, how do I reach you? You're not on WhatsApp or social media. Call me. I can't call you, it'll cost money. Text me. Can't text you, it's costing money. Email me. Yeah, we can still use email. Right? And anybody use, somebody use, nobody, or at the moment it's a Facebook post or a Facebook messenger. Very convenient. Let's message the CEO and see what happens. Right? So again, this is my personal view that we need to be quite judicious in the use of social media. And I'd rather spend time talking to a teacher, I'd rather spend time talking to you, I'd rather spend time being here than having to worry about media and accessing the media. So thank you. Very nice question.
Thank you, sir.
Sir, my question is, what innovations in education do you think could positively affect both students and teachers?
Oh wow, Bhavan, very nice question, but you got me on that. What innovations? Look, this is a pretty broad question. And I think anything that enables students to learn effectively and educators to teach for effective learning is something that is, that should be embraced. I wouldn't want to put a box on what those innovations are, because then it won't be an innovative idea anymore. So definitely anything that allows for seamless learning, right? As long as it's two-way, bilateral, which allows for free flow of information and dialogue, and is something which both the students and the educators want. Right? I think is innovation that we should adopt.
As a leader, what was your most memorable moment in the field of teaching or education?
So again, I don't think I lead, I serve. But one of my most memorable moments was when this school achieved a rating of good with the Dubai School Inspections Bureau and KHTA. So I think you should give a round of applause to your teachers and your leader. Because this school is a flagship school, it is one of the best schools on earth. I strongly believe in that. You've got some of the best teachers, best infrastructure, the best location. Okay, you'll probably get a better leader and a CEO one day. So pray for that. But everything else is par excellence. But that was really something that I'll never forget. So when that happened with the KHT, because your team, your teachers, your parents, all of you had worked so hard, and the fact that it wasn't being acknowledged and wasn't being, it wasn't shining. So it was always there. But when you have a fantastic leader like Rebecca and her entire team that came together and orchestrated this in a beautiful way, I think that, to me, has definitely been a standout moment. Thank you for asking that, Jia.
Thank you, sir.
Good afternoon, sir. I'm Shlok from class 8E, and my question for you is that how have your teachers...
Shlok, I can't see you. Where are you? On my left. Thank you.
Sir, so my question is how have your teachers impacted your personal and professional developments, and how have you incorporated their lessons in your leadership today?
Shlok, my teachers continue to impact me, whether it's my religious teachers, my spiritual teachers, because your name is Shlok, so remind me of my spiritual guru, who has taught me all my shlokas that I know, and his son, and now his grandson, right? So, every teacher, every guru in every phase of... I'm still in touch with my university professors in the US, I'm still in touch with my university professors from the UK, my school teachers, and I work with some of the teachers over here. Shlok, what you got to understand is not just your teachers, you can learn from every single person. You see an ant, you see how hard the ant works, you learn that they don't give up. You see a lizard or a chameleon, and again I'm not saying, but you can learn from everyone. You see a lizard or a chameleon, you see how they camouflage and how they adapt to the situation. You see your person every day can leave a very, very deep impact. You just got to have an open mind, Shlok, right, which you all do. If you have an open mind, hopefully like I do, you will get to learn and take the best out of it, because people will give you that. People will tell you and they will speak to you. The universe will speak to you through people. Right? So they have left everything. The fact that I had a motherly teacher, economics teacher, the fact that I had a loving class teacher in grade 10, that's the same kind of love I show to all my students and to all my staff. Because I was equally loved by them. So I'm just continuing the circle that they have started of love, tolerance, generosity, peace, happiness, well-being. So at every single stage and age, you will have teachers and people whom you can constantly learn from. And you can't say this is the only value I learned. It's everything that you learn from your teachers and beyond. But thank you, Shlok. And thank you for reminding me of my spiritual teacher.
Ask you how would you encourage teens of this era to become teachers, as not many people want to be teachers.
So it's something you got to understand, right? What's your propensity to serve? It's one of the noblest professions in the world where you have to serve. It's no different than joining the army. It's no different than wanting to be a nurse or a medical practitioner because you got to serve and you're dealing with human beings. Sorry, I didn't get your name, young man.
Akshat Sharma.
Akshat Sharma. Akshit or Akshat?
Akshat.
Akshat. AKSHAT.
Yes, sir.
Akshat. Thank you, Akshat. Right? And so, Akshat, when I go home and I sleep, the little sleep that I get, and when I lie down and I reflect on that day, and I think, have I made an impact on people's lives? Education is probably one of the rarest professions where you're making almost a daily impact on people's lives. So if you want something which is truly impactful, right, which has deep impact for generations, then really you got to have a calling for education and calling to teach or calling to work in an educational setting. Because then you start looking beyond the paycheck, you start looking beyond career progression, all of that, because it's all about giving. The other thing is, you might have a bad day, but your work is such as a teacher and educator, you're dealing with wonderful human beings, happy, the way they greet you, they talk to you, good morning sir, good morning ma'am, and suddenly you're like, wow, you see happiness around you and the way they can flip your mood completely. I didn't even get that in any other job. Right? And then when somebody comes to you, touches your feet, and says, you've been a great teacher. Because I do that to my teachers. I touch their feet, I say, you've been a great teacher. And you see that endearing smile on a teacher's face. Because for a teacher to have that feeling, say, wow, I made an impact on Akshat's life. Right? Fatma remembers this moment. Arjun says, this really changed my, perspective in life. So that's what I think drives a teacher forward. So if that's what you want, beyond career progression, beyond money, then I think education is the way to go, mate. Take up a teaching career or a profession and other fields around teaching and education. Thanks, Akshat.
Thank you, sir.
Has added immense value to our discussion. But before we wrap up, on this special occasion of Teachers' Day, we'd like to express our deepest gratitude to all the educators who inspire, guide, and shape the futures. So, to all the teachers out there, thank you for your unwavering dedication. Happy Teachers' Day to you, sir, and all our incredible teachers.
Once again, I'd like to say thank you to all of you for having the time and the patience to come and sit. You guys are a wonderful audience. Thank you, Rebecca ma'am, Manju ma'am, middle leaders, senior leaders. Yeah, give a round of applause. Come on, come on. Thank you, Mujib, the support staff, all the ushers. And I know it's thankless, but again, thank you. I would like to say, and thank you, Arjun and Fatma. Right, you guys are wonderful hosts. Yes, give them a round of applause. The way you ask your question, how eloquently, you have got such awesome articulation, enunciation skills. Again, full credit to your parents, full credit to teachers. Please thank your parents. Please thank your teachers from my side. Yeah? All the best and wishing everybody a happy Teachers' Day. Thank you. Thank you for having me.
Thank you so much for making it to this event. We could just sit here and listen to you the full day. We really didn't know how the time just went by. But thank you so much. And thank you, students. You've been wonderful. And a big round of applause to Arjun and Fatma as well. Thank you.